So, hello everyone, and welcome to this episode. And it is our first part in the manifesting series. And I am so delighted to have Marlene Cronin back here on my podcast because Marlene was a guest. I think we were talking about it, Marlene, 2 years ago. And you came to talk about light language, which was the first thing that I thought of when I thought of you. But now manifesting is the second thing. Marlene, for those of my listeners who perhaps have missed that episode or haven't even seen your fabulous YouTube videos, which I don't even know how, because I always send people to you. But let's say they haven't seen or met you before. Can you reintroduce yourself to my listeners?
Okay, so I'm a psychic medium, light language healer, and being honest, my whole passion in life from a very young age is to heal. It's always been to heal. So in everything I do, I feel the healing is what pours through. Even just having conversation or holding space, listening to people, I always feel the healing pouring through me when I do it. So the light language for me is has completely transformed me inside out, and it's 36 years now. It started when I was 14, and it took a long time for me to bring it to the public because I had no sort of guide frame for what it was. Nobody, I went to lots of sitters, lots of healers, and none of them could really tell me what it was beyond trance healing. Now, what you have to understand is that at the time that I started doing the YouTube videos, there was no one really doing it. I accidentally found somebody one day online doing it, and I brought my husband in. I went, "Oh my God, this is what I do." And she had put the label light language on it, and I started putting up YouTube videos, and then people would message me and said they were activated by them, and it hopefully it gave other people the courage to go and do their own videos, because now it's so, it's almost commonplace now. There's so many people doing it. When I started doing it, I was absolutely terrified of how people would perceive me because it was so bizarre and unusual. But I always trust spirit when they give me the nudge, even if it feels scary. I know that they only come from love, and love is their intention. And it just took off in its own time. Um, Working as a psychic medium, absolutely love it. I love connecting with people. Um, I love bringing their loved ones through in spirit. I love doing readings for them and helping them to see things maybe they haven't seen themselves, or just reflecting back what they already know about themselves. I think that's what a good reader should do. You're really confirming what the person has been feeling and holding a mirror up to that. And I'm not a fortune teller. I don't predict don't predict futures. I give what I get, which is usually a snapshot of your highest timeline and the ways that you can go about bringing that into fruition. But the power is always with the individual coming. That's always the way it is. So that's just a brief snapshot of me.
And you know what always fascinates me about you, Marlene, and I know that my peeps who have met you have said the same thing, because there's few people that you meet and they are doing what you do, what I do, and their energy is just so beautiful, so divine, so down to earth that you just can't, wait to see them again, or you can't wait to speak to them. You have to see every life they do, because even though it's not on the topic that interests you, but just seeing this person and feeling their energy does something to you. So uh, I'm of course very grateful that you're here, but also I know that you do quite a lot of lives and you offer a lot of free
Mm.
readings or sessions that you help with on Instagram, especially. And I know on Instagram because that's my platform, my favorite platform, and I
Yeah.
often see that you're there. So the healing part, I can really, really resonate. But this energy that, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who has told you this. So would you say that this is something that, you've done your personal growth and you've worked your shadow work and you've done your thing? Do you think it's, you um being authentically you, is it the healing? Is it the light language? What do you think gives that beautiful energy of?
Um, I do think a lot of it has to do with being authentically yourself because I don't even use filters on my photographs or anything. Not that I've anything against them, but I feel that even recently now I changed my profile picture and I put a little filter on it to make my eyes makeup kind of look better. And I was sitting with it and it was gnawing at me. No, take the filter off, take the filter off. And I feel even to that extent, um, that spirit will hold me accountable. You have to be as real as you can be. But I've also, like you said, Kasia, done a tremendous amount of work on myself. And when I said the light language has kind of changed me inside out, I've done a ton of clearing, of fear, anxiety, all of that stuff. And I consciously make the decision every day to choose peace and to choose the loving response. I'm human like anyone else, and I have a fiery side, but I try to catch it as much as possible. If I go into judgment about someone or something, I try to catch it as quick as I can because I really feel the more that you go deeper into this sort of connection with yourself and trust in yourself, things like that start to jar in your energy. So if you're gossiping, it's going to feel ugly inside of you. If you're judging someone or you're finding fault or you're criticizing something, no matter how small it is, it's going to feel discordant within you. And that's what I find that I am always speaking to the divine. I'm always thanking the divine. I try to be in that space of love as much as possible. And I'm still working on my own stuff all the time, because there's still triggers will come up. There's still things I'm learning about myself. Um, I'm 50 and it still feels really new at times, things I'm learning about myself. So I feel that once you're on the path, so to speak, and everyone's on the path, but once you become conscious that you're on the path, once you become conscious that you're a spiritual being in a physical body, then you start to become more aware. You start to become more aware of your thinking. You start to become more aware of your own energy interacting with other people and what you bring to other people. It becomes less about what they can give to you and more about what you're bringing to them. That sort of thing becomes very active within you. You start to notice people respond to you differently. People are, more at ease around you. Like, my brother got married there a few months ago, very small do. And I was sitting next to a lady that I didn't really know very well. And she was telling me all her pains and problems. And the whole while in my mind, I was just holding the vision of her like well and healthy. And I was just listening to her. And after a while, she said to me, "You're a very peaceful person." She said, "You have a lovely energy of peace. It's really nice to sit next to you." And then I knew like that's all that she needed to be listened to. And then she just relaxed and she didn't talk about her pains and problems anymore. So it's just being conscious. Like if I had went into judgment there and started saying, "Oh no, I'm next to someone who's moaning and groaning and oh for God's sake," and if I had made a whole story about that, then I'd have missed a lovely opportunity for the both of us. It's an exchange, and that's how I try my best to live my life that way. Like I said, I'm human. I have a fiery side, but I still try to be conscious that everyone is going through stuff inside. Everyone is coming from their own experiences. And as much as possible, I try and bear that in mind. I do set boundaries as well. You know, I have personal boundaries that you know, I won't waver on. That took a long time. That took a long time to come to. But I think to answer your question more succinctly, Kasia, I think once you become aware that you're on a spiritual path, these things just start to roll inevitably for you. And you just come to that, however long or short it takes, you just come to that sense of yourself. You stop needing so much from people, from outside yourself, and life becomes much more harmonious.
Oh, that was
That was
beautiful.
a long-winded answer to a simple question.
No, fantastic. This is exactly what needed to come through you because I loved every word. I was hanging off every word that you said. But I think those of my listeners who are familiar with you, have experienced you, I think we find it a bit um, challenging to imagine you being fiery because we I think we can all resonate more with the peaceful energies, but that's
Yeah,
an interesting side. Now,
yeah.
you have kind of
Especially with my kids, Kasia, especially with my kids. My kids,
really
if they
they get that.
yeah, if there's anyone messing with them or whatever, then the mama bear
Mama
comes
bear.
out.
Mama bear comes out. Well, that's
Mm.
interesting because my next question, which I like to ask my guests now, is uh, so if let's say your children's teacher asks you, so what do you do for a living? Or perhaps you've met someone at a party and they're like, so Marlene, what do you do for a living? How do you introduce yourself? How do you introduce them to your work? Or what do you say?
Oh, well, Kasia. There's been times when I have told people what I do at weddings, and then I get stuck in a corner with people because people would come up and they're like, can I just steal you there for a minute?" And it was really funny actually. Not so long ago I was at a wedding and a few people kind of cornered me, and there's my husband like giving it loads out on the floor, dancing, having a great time, and he looks over at me like, and I'm like, have the rescue me face on. But what I like, what I find, because I have stronger boundaries with it now, is I will say, I work as a psychic medium and healer. I own it now. I will actually say it. The only problem is with healer, because people have this idea in their head that a healer is someone who just puts their hands on someone and then the pain is gone.
Got
So
a pain in
that,
my back. I just stretched.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was dancing.
No,
Can you just?
to be honest with you, I have had some very instantaneous. I'll just tell a quick story. There was a
Yeah.
lady one time, and I was coming in. I was coming in to watch a demonstration of mediumship, and there was a lady sitting down with her husband that I had seen from doing various seminars, but didn't really know her that well. But she was very fond of me. She was just one of those people who just lit up when she saw me coming in. So I went over to chat to her, and she didn't seem her usual self. And I said, "Are you okay? What's the matter?" And she said, "I have to get on a plane to go and see my daughter, and I'm really afraid of flying. And I don't know why, whatever." And I said, I felt the urge. And I said, "Do you want me to do a little bit with you?" And she said, "Yeah, go on." So it was just me kind of being as like, you know, not obvious as I could be so that she wouldn't be embarrassed. And I just started like feeling into her energy with the intention of finding where the root of this was. I came to the root of it anyway. She was 5 and la la la. And she said, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" I said, "Look, you'll get on that plane without a bother." And her husband kind of went, right. So I went on my way anyway, and I saw her about 2 weeks later. And she came up to me and she goes, "Oh my God." She said, "I went on that plane like I was going to Honolulu." She said, I went on it without a care in the world. I was so happy. I don't know what you did, but thank you so much." And my whole thing about that is it's what I've always had is tremendous curiosity. I've always had tremendous curiosity. And there's this fabulous healer around that time that I was watching, Christy Marie Sheldon. And she has this thing where she can feel into layers of energy. So people normally come to her for financial aid. And I don't know if she's still working now, but like she can feel into the layers. And then so I was watching her and I was like, I really want to do that. So I started going around saying, I can heal like Krista Marie Sheldon. I can do that as well. And I started to be able to do it. And I really think with spirit, when you have that openness and curiosity, when you see somebody doing something and you're like, oh, I'd love to do that, you can do it. It was the same with mediumship. I used to see these mediums that could go directly to the person. And I was like, I want to be able to do that. I want to do it. That's so cool. I want to be able to do that. And I started to be able to do it. It's the real, like with manifestation, it's the real ask and you receive. It's that childlike energy. Nice segue there. It's that
I
childlike
love
energy
that.
of
You're
saying,
leading us in.
it's that childlike energy of saying, that's really exciting. I really want to do that. I want to do that. Let me do that. And then they let you do it. If you like, I had no doubt they were going to let me do it. Anything that I ask that I find fascinating, I know if I go, let me do that, let me do that, that it will start to come through. But it's then having that absolute trust. Whereas if you look at people and you admire them and it stops there because you put them on a pedestal and you're like, oh my God, I could never do that. Oh my God, da 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 da. Then you cap yourself off then and you kind of stay at where you think your limitations are. But if you look at someone and you're like, oh, that's really exciting, then that excitement is put in you for a reason. Like you're going to get a plumber sitting next to you. He's not going to be excited to be able to do that. He's going to be like, oh, that's really cool, and start chatting about something else. He's going to be interested in something else. But it's been put in you because it sparks a resonance in you that you are capable of doing that as well. I get very frustrated with people who put caps on others. You have to do X amount of time. I remember the same way with mediumship. I was 2 years in a circle, and this very established medium, spiritualist medium, said, no, you need to be sitting in a circle for 6 years before you go out and work with other people. And I was like, no, that's old paradigm stuff. We're in a completely different energy. I appreciate everything that those gone before me have done because they had to wade through much denser energy. But I'm like, no. And I feel that that's what I've done with the light language as well. I had to wade through very, very dense energy with the light language, with the clearing was really intense, Kasia, really, really heavy going. And now it's lighter, and the people coming in are getting it much more sparkly and much more. It's a lighter energy, and they'll do their work for those coming after them. But what I would say is that never listen to anyone who says you have to do this in X amount of time if inside you feel that's not right. If inside you feel, no, I have a different knowing, then trust that. Because I've had other teachers, actually, other mentors with mediumship that have said to me, you remind me so much of myself when I started, before I started going to a lot of different mentors and colleges and whatever where it's being taught. Um, you remind me of myself. You remind me when I was natural. And in any walk of life, you'll have teachers or mentors like that. Well, number one, they'll try and shape you into who they are. Number two, they're trying to keep you slightly below them, consciously or unconsciously. I've had that myself, where they don't like you to flourish too much because maybe you have something that they don't have. And I was very lucky that way with my development teacher, Nora Desmond. She had no ego. She was fabulous. If somebody came into the group and they were amazing, she would get more excited than anybody else. She had no ego with it, thanks be to God. And she encouraged me from the word go. She saw my potential very, very quickly. And what I would say that way, like I said, with manifesting anything, with bringing anything to you, that spark, that excitement, that trust that. You know what I mean? That heart-opening feeling when you see something you like, something you want, something that excites you, something somebody else has, some confidence they have, some swagger they have, and you're like, "Oh my God." Don't say I could never be like that. Don't say they must have worked so hard, la 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 la. Just say this is going to bloom for me in that's in a way that's perfect for me. And then show up for yourself, show up for your life, and you'll see it showing up. Then just get curious and start playing around and open the door for it. You know what I mean?
I love that. Oh my gosh, every aspect for me. Because oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I've got heaps of questions. You know, this what you're doing, Marlene, it reminds me so much of when we were children, and like in kindergarten, a child, like as a child, we would pick up the brush and paint just because it was exciting, and
Yeah.
oh, I like blue, oh, I like red, oh, let me try this color, and then go, oh, I want to play in the sandpit, and I want to bump these cars together, I want to play with
Yeah.
dolls and play pretend, right? And there wasn't sort of like, but if I play with the paint, I might get dirty. Or what if my picture doesn't turn out? What if the teacher
Yeah.
doesn't like it? Like we didn't have that as children. We didn't look at someone else painting at these and go like, oh, I wish I could paint like that. We were just painting, right?
Yeah.
That's what children do, and that's what you just shared reminded me of, that sort of childlike, wondrous,
Yeah.
state of being, which I know I'm always being reminded of by spirit, to be playful, being that childlike wonder, instead of going
Yeah.
like, oh, I wish I could do that. I could never do that. Like it's yeah, because
Yeah.
it's so true. We do that, and I think the old paradigm is that some of us were gifted, some of us were special mediums born, with this gift, and the rest, are not. And there's this hierarchy. And I remember
Yeah.
when I was doing, I think it was one of my earlier psychic development programs, where I had a group of ladies come through, and the first question I asked them is like, so tell me a little bit about like your abilities, like what do you have? Do you know? Do you not? And let's say out of 10, 8 would say, I was born this way. Ever since I could remember, I could see spirit and stuff. And I go like, that is so cool, right? Because I wasn't born like that. Like, I don't remember, maybe I did,
Yeah.
maybe I didn't, but I don't remember. And so it was this sort of, you know, leveling the playing field kind of thing, because I wanted them to know that just because I'm on this side sharing with them what I know doesn't mean that, oh, I'm that special because I was born this way, right? And I
Yeah.
have these gifts. Um, but then also the other point that you've made, Marlene, that led us so beautifully into today's topic of manifesting, is this assumption that you must have when you see someone doing mediumship, or having
Yeah.
an ability. You don't go like, oh, could I please get this, like, please, how can I, what can I do a course, how can I, you just go, I'm gonna have this is gonna be me, oh,
Yeah.
I am this, right? Like,
That's it. Yeah.
tell us
That's
more,
it.
like, how do we do this if someone is wanting to create something in their life?
Yeah. I,
How?
I I always, like I said, I've always had a strong sense of curiosity, and I've always had a sort of I suppose, an innate knowing that if I was passionate about something, if I was interested in something, I could assimilate it. Like even like different courses that I've done, I've been able to like assimilate the information really, really quickly. Like the tapping course I did, I could do it really quickly. I did a Matsu medicine, which is like tuning into the rhythm of bones. I could do it really quickly. But I've never had that feeling, you see, of that I couldn't. And that's the biggest thing. Now, I've had, I had a difficult upbringing. It was, you know, it's not that I came from being built up as a child into believing. I really had to do a lot of it for myself, especially from the age of 17. I took a huge interest in Louise Hay. Um, psychology books, anything I could find that was going to better my situation because I wanted a different life for myself. So affirmations drummed into my head. I would put them next to my bed. I would say them over and over. Anything inspirational in regards of movies, I would watch it over and over. It's a sort of a thing of, if you're in a position right now where you feel like, I couldn't do that, I could never do that, you're already then, if you can imagine that, like there's a little genie inside you saying, your wish is my command, your wish is my command, your wish is my command. So say, like I said, if I take my example of the mediums that would stand up and could go, I'm coming to you there in the red dress. I can see your grandmother behind you. La 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 la. If I had had the attitude that a lot of people had at that time, oh my God, she's spectacular. Um, and this reverential energy that they had towards her. Instead, like my energy was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was so excited. And then I was able to do it very, very quickly. They weren't. They weren't, because they had put her on a pedestal, which meant they'd separated themselves from her. The whole thing for me is life like a smorgasbord. So if you're seeing somebody that has what you want, what you have to understand in that moment is spirit is saying, what do you think of this? Would you like this? And then you go, yes, with your energy. Then you shut the brain up. You say, the brain comes in with, but, you go, no. I'm seeing this because spirit is saying, I think this will be interesting for you. Would you like it? Yes, I would. And that's it. If you want to draw love into your life and you see a couple that are being really affectionate and they're laughing and they're having a wonderful time, you'll have two types of people. One that will go, oh, get a room. Oh my God, look at them. They think they're so much better than everyone else. And you'll have the couple and you'll have the person that'll be like, oh, they're so sweet. Oh, look at them. And they'll want to draw everyone. They're in that moment melding with that energy of love. That spirit I've shown them. What about this? Would you like it like this? Now, that person may also go, oh, they're so sweet, but I don't like the PDA. So then that's refining it. So then they might be at a party and they see this couple standing together. They're very intense with each other. They're having a deep conversation. They're not touching each other, but the chemistry between them is palpable. That person may just completely open up looking at them. It's like, that is what I want. And then it's like, bing, 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 here it comes.
I'll take what
If
she's
that
having.
person, exactly, if that person stayed in that open state then of, thank you so much for showing me that, that's exactly it, you did a great job. And then didn't allow the thoughts of, but you're ugly, you're old, you're all these things that we do inside our head. There's no good people out there. They probably met when they were young. People do a whole number on themselves. You go into that childlike energy of, yes, love that now. I always
Isn't
say it's
that
like
what
children.
kids do? Isn't that what kids
Children,
do? I
children
remember
Christmas
my
dinner.
kids. Yeah, they love the toy catalogs, right? And they go straight over with a pen. I want this. 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 Right?
So funny you said that now, because I was with my nephew. He's only 3, and his birthday's coming up. And I said, "What would you like for your birthday?" Out he gets anyway, the toy catalogue, and he said, "I'd like that there." So I took a photograph of it. Next he says, "And that, and that, and that. Take a photograph of it, Marlene." Okay, bum bum. And that. Take a photograph of it, and you know. The
Yeah,
world was his oyster in that moment. Do you know what I mean? And I said, I can only get you one of those now. That's okay. But he was giving me a wide variety to choose from.
you can choose
And
whatever you
like
like.
when
Yeah.
you were saying as well earlier about the kids playing, you know, do you remember? I don't, this was me now. I'd start mixing the paint and I'd be like, what if I put this in with this and this and with this? And I'd put so much paint on, it'd be disgusting, sludgy brown color, and there'd be a hole in the page because I'd be after piling so much paint on. But do you ever remember, Kasia, when you were playing with your friends and you'd all inspire each other? So one would say, this one would use the sweeping brush as a horse, And then they'd say, "What are you doing?" "I'm riding my horse." And then someone else would go, "Well, I'm going to be, I'm going to work in the post office." And they'd all make a little scene together. They'd inspire each other. I really think that's why we're here. And that's
Yes.
why it goes back to your earlier question. Do you think it's doing work on yourself? Do you think it's being authentic? I still think being authentic is the biggest thing. Because if you're boldly being yourself, someone asks you what you do for a living, you tell them what you do for a living, then other people are going to look at you and they're going to see it. And they're going to be like, "Oh, that's interesting that she's so bold about it." Or you, you're inspiring someone. You know what I mean? Or you could have a conversation with someone and they could say, "I really like how she said that." And it inspires something. We're meant to do that for each other. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, like I said, is we go, "Yeah, they were really lucky to get that. She was really lucky to be born that way." That's not how it is at all. There's lots of people that are born with the ability, or like for me, I started seeing around, I'd say 3 or 4, I started seeing spirit. But like, there's lots of people like that, and they never actually do anything with it. There's lots of people that
Mm.
see spirit when they're young and kind of shove it down and close the door on it. It will always kind of bubble underneath and open up again. But same with creativity. I would have a lot of clients that have really closed the door on creativity and go and live in their mind, go and live
Oh
in the logical,
gosh.
the analytical, the explainable,
Mm.
because the unknown, the creative spark, the flow, the sexiness of life is just too big a bite for them.
Yeah, and you don't have much control, right? You have to surrender a lot of the time and just really.
Absolutely, you really do. And you
Mm.
have to have a lot of trust. And like I said, if you can come to it, even experiment with it. I know there'll probably be people listening going, "What does she mean by being curious?" But if you could open yourself up to, say you want to be a really good writer and you have the bones of an idea, but you don't have the confidence to kind of sit and have the discipline of doing it and whatever, then just ask to be inspired. Ask spirit to send you someone inspiring, somebody that will kind of um spark something off in you. I do that a lot. If I'm losing my mojo a bit, or if I'm feeling a little bit flat, I'll say, "Please send someone to me or show me someone online who's really sparkly and bubbly about this." And I will invariably find someone. And it sparks it
Well,
off again then in me. You know?
well,
It's
I
just not to limit yourself.
yes, I was just going to sum up for us this part. My takeaways from even just what you just said. Um, for the listeners. So basically, as you're navigating through your daily life, see everything as those children who look at a toy catalog. Everything is a toy catalog, and you just when you see something that you love, someone is doing or saying or being the way you wish you were, right? The resonance means you already have it somewhere and you can
Yes.
unlock it. So,
Yeah.
like Marlene said, you choose and you say, I want that. I am that. This is going to be me.
Yeah.
And have that childlike curiosity. And I think the other part that I really loved was instead of focusing more on what we can't do, where we're not good enough, where we fail, where we feel guilty and shameful, which spirals our energy
Mm.
down. And then definitely we're not in harmony with this things that we want to bring in. Instead, it's almost like you have to wake out of a dream, like realize, oh, I'm dreaming, and wake up and then go like, no, hang on a minute. I am worthy. I can do this. Why not me? Right? Why not me?
Why
Of
not
course I
me?
can do it.
Exactly. That's the best thing to say. Why not me?
Yeah, why not me? And
Yeah.
I love that because when things go a bit pear-shaped for me, I now just go like, "Hi, isn't this interesting?" Like instead of getting mad or upset, I just go like, I went to Melbourne recently, big city here. So we've moved 3 hours away to this beautiful little sea town. And every time when I go to Melbourne now, the traffic, the roadworks I always say to people, if you want to test how zen you are, go to Melbourne. So I arrived now. And I'm like, huh, isn't this interesting? Look at that traffic jam, right? Oh, look what's happening with my energy, right? Like I can feel like, oh, no, just breathe through it, right? But anyway, anytime when something happens, instead of getting mad, instead of being sucked into that negative energy, I just
Yeah.
go like, huh, isn't this interesting? Okay, look what's
Yeah.
happening here. And then, hey, I can choose something else,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Something
kinder, yeah,
different.
it's kinder as well to do that because
Mm,
we can go into judgment about ourselves as well. So if someone cuts you off in traffic and you react instead of being angry with yourself, you could say, "Isn't that interesting?" Like you just said, "Isn't that interesting that I responded like that?" Peace be with you. That's what I say. If I get cross with someone, I'll go, "Peace be with you, brother, or peace be with you, sister," and I'll send the peace on the way. Because if somebody is so, like somebody cut me off dangerously in traffic the other day, and like I said, the fiery side, I had my son in the car I was bringing to work, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then I went, you know what now? It's not actually going to help that person for me to kind of go into whatever energy he had because I could palpably feel his intense irritation. And I was like, you know what now? I'm going to relax. I'm going to send some love to him on his way, that whatever is going on with him, he relaxes. And wherever he is on the road, people relax around him. And it
yeah.
was very powerful for me. It shifted something for me as
Mm,
well. Like I said, I'm always learning. I understood in that moment that I have a responsibility as well
yeah.
for the
Yeah.
energy that I bring, you know?
Yeah. A true healer will know
Ah,
exactly what we are talking, what you're talking about. Oh, I know. Marlene, but so let's say someone, because I had this question actually come up a few times. Let's say someone is trying to manifest something, uh, and they're doing everything. They're reading, they're learning, they're doing all the things that they've learned about manifesting, and things aren't happening for them. Now,
yeah.
I know this could be a case by case situation, but generally, is there an answer that you could give my listeners from your experience, maybe, or your knowledge, your wisdom through spirit, like why that would be happening?
Okay. So one of my most favorite books, right? It's a book by Tosha Silver. It's called Outrageous Openness. And it's letting the divine take the lead, right? It's a really beautiful book. I come back to it many times when I need to just land in my body. Sometimes with manifestation, Kasia, and I'm sure you understand as well, we can get very fixated on it. We can get very fixated on having what we want when we want it. And there are plenty of people online that will tell you that. Like I went down that rabbit hole myself. I started to find it very dogmatic and a little bit um, lacking in compassion, shall we say, because if somebody was having a physical issue, someone was having a health problem, and then they'd be told, well, you're obviously thinking the wrong thoughts. And that's where
Mhm.
I kind of made the disconnect with it. It was like, okay, this whole universe, everything about us as spirit is bigger than just, I think there's a lot of times when things happen to bring us deeper into ourselves. And that's where the divine's knowledge, the bigger knowledge that we haven't got access to with our human thinking, that's where that issue of I'm doing everything, I'm banging my head against the wall, nothing is happening. You're going then, like you said earlier, into a frustration, lower, lower, lower. Because then we start heaping on, it works for everyone, why isn't it working for me? We just do a whole number on ourselves. Now, one of the things that Tosha says in her book is she has what she calls, I think it's the divine box or the offering box. And you write down what you want. So, say you had somebody who really wanted a new job and she was doing all the things, visualizing, seeing the boss shaking her hand, all of these things. And yet the lack was still there, the feeling of fear. What if it doesn't happen? Because that's how you cancel it out. What if it doesn't happen? Now, if you had a little offering box like that and you wrote it out, the job that you wanted. Thank you so much for this job. I trust it will unfold perfectly. And you put that into the box. So every time then you started thinking, why isn't it here yet? You say, no, it's in the box. It's been taken care of. Then you start to think of it like an Amazon package. You've been told it's shipped. You can track it if you want, or you can just trust that it's going to show up to your door. But in my experience with people, once they get into that frustrated thing of where is it? Why isn't it here? Their energy then is, I don't have it. And the genie, like I said earlier, says, your wish is my command. You don't have it. That's a frustrating thing to tell people, I know. But the more that you can go into the state of, okay, I have actually done everything. I've, no. My only job is to be in a frequency as consistently as possible that matches the joy I'll feel when I get my thing. What I did years ago, I was reading a fantastic book, Florence Scovel's Shin, The Game of Life and How to Play It. She
Beautiful book.
actually inspired Louise Hay. That was my Bible. Next to my bed, I would say, but this is what I was doing wrong, Kasia. I'd go for a walk, and for that hour, I would be absolutely in tune. I would be saying my affirmations, I'd be picturing what I wanted, absolutely in a bliss state. Then I would come home. The kids would have thrown their shoes up on the chair. The washing up wasn't done, and I would immediately slip out of that state and start going, why isn't that washed? Why are your church? Blah, blah, blah. So what I came to understand is, yes, having an hour where you focus is beautiful, but if the rest of your day is not a match, forget about it. So that's why then I said, like I said to you earlier, I bring more conscious awareness into every interaction, into what I'm saying when I wake up. Am I waking up going, oh, or am I going, okay, I woke up, my bed is delicious, I get to be with my kids. It's not Pollyanna, it's actually taking responsibility for your thinking. The more that you can be in, all you need is the 51% tipping point. And we can all reach that. So if you're primarily in a state of gratitude, choosing peace, choosing a less reactive response, blessing your food, um, whatever, playing music that makes you feel happy. If you can get to a 51% tipping point of that, then it will cancel out the rest of them complaining or whatever else you do in your day. That's when then you will see absolute miracles pour into your life. Then you won't have to do 60,000 affirmations and visualizations and all of this. It won't be so earnest. Then it will just be that feeling of, oh my God, that car is unreal. I love the color. Then you'll see about 10 other colors the same, and then in comes that car for you with that color. Or you'll just be really, really happy in your own car. You'll start to appreciate what you have. But that is the thing that is the hardest work for people. They'd much rather that you give them the magic bullet of manifestation than to actually be really consciously aware of how they're thinking in everything that they do. Like if we all know intellectually our thoughts create. We all know intellectually with manifestation that our thoughts actually start to form into things like clay into a pot. But we're obviously not letting it land in our heart space or in our bodies because we still think shitty thoughts. We still go through the day complaining about the weather, complaining about what's on television. Why don't they have my favorite chocolate in the supermarket? Ba, 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 ba. If
And we
we
don't
actually use,
realize that something so little can actually put you a couple of steps back.
yeah,
It's
because
it's
you're
almost
you're
like,
actually, yeah,
no, I
go
was
on.
just going to say it's almost like when you place that Amazon order, but then before they even ship it, you call them every 5 minutes. Is it ready? Is it? Has it shipped? Has it shipped?
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? You are too much hassle. There you go. Get a refund, right? And they're like, we're not even
Or
gonna ship it.
Do you know what happened? What happens there's a friend of mine, and it happens every time with them. They become obsessed about the tracking, and then there's always issues. It got shipped to the wrong place. It's really delayed. Always. And I'm like, I don't say it, but I'm like, oh my gosh, surely you can realize what you're doing with your mind. Some people have a very strong mental focus, so their manifestations will come very quickly. But what I find when we were talking earlier about being on the spiritual path and being aware of it, what I think is, well, your karma comes around very quickly. So if you're talking badly about somebody, you'll have somebody come back very quickly, and they might leave a bad message underneath your post or something, and you're like, what? Your energy comes back very quickly, but that works for the good as well. So if you do something nice for someone, you pay a compliment, you're just being as authentically loving as you can be, then you find people are very much authentically loving back. The whole point of it, if you ever read what's your man? Um Lester Levinson, he wrote a book, Happiness is Free. And he got to a point in his evolution where he healed himself of he was dead basically. They told him, go home, you're going to be dead in a few hours. And he actually sat there and he started to think about all the ways that he was negatively thinking about people, places, things in his life. He had a massive, massive healing. David Hawkins is the same if you read his book, if you want to kind of go more deeper into the evolution of it. But what fascinated me with both of them as well is they'd say, of the Red Sea, there was never issues. They get all the green lights. I find that with myself. If I'm in the car, especially with one of my children, I call him green light Sam. We go out, he always has the intention we'll have green lights. He gets green lights all the way. Now, if my husband's
Love
in the
that.
car with them, they'll get red lights. But what I would say with that as well, Kasia, right, is if any of you have ever read Anthony de Mello's book, Awaken the Giant Within, it's a very old book now, but he talks about anchors, right? So what I'll do with my kids is if we're driving up to a light and it turns green, I'll say to them, that was you know, that's your magic now, turn that light green. And they're teenagers, like they're older kids. And I I will drip feed it into them, and now it's coming out of their own mouths. Now they'll start to say, um, yeah, I'm not going to put energy into that now, ma'am, or they'll start
And
talking
they're
in that
using
way.
your words.
Yeah, but use an anchor, right? So if you're driving into a busy, say a busy shopping center, and you have a playful energy, what I say is, Hail Mary, full of grace, thank you for my perfect parking space. That makes me laugh, right? So I'll drive in and I'll know that I'm going to get a very good space exactly where I want to. Now, if you do that and you go in and you have a playful energy, you stop the kind of, oh no, it's very busy, and you go, no, just as I'm pulling in now, someone's going to pull out. If that happens to you, really magnify it. Really magnify it. Look at that. I got what I wanted immediately. My magic is on point today. I would like really celebrate it because we brush those things off. If you're thinking about, you know what, my parcel is going to come today, I just feel it. And then you go out and your parcel is there, really amplify it. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me know ahead of time that it's coming. Don't brush those things off as just nothing things, because that's building your muscle, your trust then that what you ask for is coming, what you ask for, you get. And you
Mm.
start to be able to slip into that sense of surrender a lot more. Um, there's a story in Tosha's book, The Outrageous Openness, that I love. There was a lady, very established lawyer, very busy woman, very, very wealthy. And she was diagnosed with end stage cancer. So she was told she had 3 months to get her affairs in order. So she was very accepting of it. She went about, she got everything organized, had it all to her liking, and just was very accepting and just made peace with it. And then she started to find that she had healing abilities come through. If she thought about an apple, someone pull it out of their bag and give it to her. She just became a magnet for everything she was thinking. She went for her checkup, the cancer was gone, but she wasn't the same after it. She just, because she had come to that radical acceptance, that radical trust that this is happening because it's supposed to, and I'm okay, and I'm held through all of this. Something massively died away. So she literally did die, I suppose, to her old self. And I find that with that energy, no matter what's happening, if you can bless it like you chose it, no matter what it is, you stub your toe, you're like, you start getting cranky, and then you just go, you know what, now there was probably a reason I stubbed my toe, because I was actually thinking very negatively just before I did it. So it acted as a wake-up call. Thank you for the wake-up call. Less painful next time, please. You start to see that it's all a dance with you and the divine. Every single moment, everything you've asked for is coming. You know what I mean? It's just the divine timing
The
is not
best is
human
yet to
timing.
come.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that so much. And Marlene, this is also reminding me of, I think it's Neville Goddard that said the bridge of events, he calls it.
Bridge of
Have you heard?
incident. Bridge
Incidents,
of
yes.
incident. Mm.
So he talks about, because the thing is, as humans, let's say we want a new car, we get so fixated on this new car, or successful business, we get so fixated on like this picture. I want the business, but the it's that dance also. So the thing that you desire creates this motivation in you to evolve as a soul, to grow as a soul. So you cross the bridge of incidents, right? So it's
Mm.
not, yes, to the human, it's like, oh, I want successful business, I want the car. But to the soul is more interested in the experience, like who will we become in the process? And
Yeah.
so I and this is how I explain it to my clients. We get a little bit impatient, like, why isn't this happening? What am I doing wrong? Because everything you said, absolutely true, right? Like it could be a small thought that could put you back a little bit. But if you get frustrated, just think of it this way. What is the feeling, the emotion that you want to, that you will have if you get the car or have that successful business, right? The emotion, because very much like you say about the genie, the world, the universe, God always says yes to you. Now they don't go, oh, really? So let's talk about this. So you're thinking this, but you're feeling this, let me help you out. Let me put it in perspective. No, they go like, whatever. It doesn't matter what you say out loud. The energy that you
Yeah.
feel is what they read. There's a fantastic book, Reality Transurfing. Have you
Yeah.
heard of it? And that was the first time he explains it in, oh God, what's the author now? Because it's, I've had it here when you were talking. I wanted to get Zealand. That's that one, Zealand, Vadim. So that was probably the first time I found a similar explanation, although his explanation is very
Yeah.
complex, very complex. But I guess that the world, the universe reflects back to you or says yes to your energy, what you're saying. Um, and I think this also started to explain to me why we can't, or why I couldn't predict the future. Like I always say to people, if I get a date, that's amazing. Make a note of it, what it makes sense on it, because that's not my forte. But when they throw
Yeah.
a date, I know I pay attention. But the thing is, very much like you, I see multiple timelines and I can say, okay, let's see which one do you want to align yourself with? Okay, well, with this one, this is what you need to do, right? I never see one path, like this is your path. You're going to meet your future husband at a bar. He's going to be wearing a brown coat, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't see it that way because it's all split. It's like all these different mirrors almost,
Yeah.
and all these different things. Um, And so I think what is important is when you start getting frustrated because that thing isn't coming, start thinking about, well, what does this thing represent? How can I generate this emotion now? So as a
Yeah,
successful business, I, for example, like I was thinking, well, I would like to make more money because I want to give to charity and I want to help, you know. And then like it was so interesting in a meditation. I said, well, you can do this now. You know,
yeah,
you may not be able to do it on that grand scale, but you can start doing it now, you know. And
yeah,
so that really started generating that feeling, you know, that I was after, which is really was my reason for like wanting it, right?
yeah.
Um, but I wanted to. What is your perspective, I guess, on the bridge of incidents and that gaining something, becoming the person that has it?
Yeah. Um, what I found in my own life is oftentimes I really want something really, really badly. And I've always been able to focus my mind, even when I was very young, on what I wanted, and just had this, like I said, just had this knowing that I would get it. And but there have been times when it's like the Garth Brooks song "Unanswered Prayers," that when you end up with someone different than what you wanted. We all cried over somebody, "Please let me be with this person." And now we look back and go, "Oh my God, thank God that prayer wasn't answered." And I feel that's where the divine wisdom comes in. Now, Florence Scovel will always say, ask aright, like ask for the divine design. So the bridge of incidence for me is, like you so beautifully said, is also the way for the soul to learn and grow. If we got everything we wanted in our lap instantaneously, there's no fun in that.
And
There's
no
no fun in
motivation to be here. Like, why be here?
why be here? There's no growth in that. There's no learning in that, because oftentimes as well, you might get what you wanted, and you're like, I could have refined that a bit better. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
the example I gave with the couple, that she might want that romance, but maybe not the PDA, and then because she put that refinement out, the refinement is able to come in. Um, the Bridge of Incidents as well. Florence Scovel had this thing where she said signs of land. So she would associate it with when you're, because she was writing in the 1920s to 1940s. But if you're on a boat and you're coming close to land, you might see birds with twigs in their mouth or whatever. And she had a funny story where she had a client that was coming to her. They used to call it a treatment, and the client was coming to her for a new set of china, right? China tableware, and the friend gave her like a chipped plate of china, and she said, "Look at this. I'm trying to get the tableware, and I get a chipped plate." And Florence said to her, "That's your sign of land. That's your sign that it's coming." And then she ended up getting the tableware. Oftentimes, and I think that's where Neville's bridge of incidents is as well. Don't dismiss the sort of signs of land that it's coming. So if you're, say, for the example again, that you're looking for romance in your life, and then somebody comes up to you and says, my friend saw you talking to me in the bar the other night and wanted your number, was very interested in you. And you say, which one was he? It was, say, John. Yeah, I would prefer a taller guy. I wasn't really attracted to him, right? Now, you could brush that off as saying, I'm not even getting the ones that I'm attracted to. Or you could say, okay, this is a sign of land. This is a sign that people are noticing me and they're interested in me, and I will get the person that I'm interested in. It is really all your attitude to life. If you're going to close everything down and feel sorry for yourself, and I say this with love because I was there as well, or get stressed about it or get anxious about it, I have created things when I've been very stressed, when I've been very anxious. I honestly don't believe you have to be positive, positive, positive all the time to create, because I have created and I've brought things into my life when I've been less than up the frequency scale. but there are easier ways to do it. It's easier to be in a state of flow. It's easier to be in a state of trust than to be anxiously worried about. Like years ago, I wanted a grant. Every time I went back to the guy, he'd say, "Oh, we don't give out any grants," because I wanted to start my own business, and I would be so stressed out about it and so anxious about it. In the end, I got the grant anyway, but it was so bloody hard. If I had come to that with a more relaxed state of 11:11 is on my clock. If I had come to that with a more relaxed
I've
state,
got 10:10.
with a more open state, then I'm sure I would have had it easier. But again, that's in itself is a bridge of incident. That's teaching me you're doing it too hard. You're doing it the hard way. We'll still give you what you want, sweetheart, but it doesn't have to be this hard. You know, that's
Love
that's
that.
how I feel. That's how
I
that
love
works.
that.
It's very much about your openness, being relaxed, knowing, I think, like Albert Einstein, I think, said, you either believe you live in a benevolent universe or a malevolent one, to paraphrase. His attitude was that he lived in a benevolent universe, that everything was there for us, everything was provided for us, even if we don't understand it from our human minds, there is only ever love here. If you truly believe that, there's only ever love here, there's only ever love available to you, and you start to connect with that love. You start to connect with it in the best way that you can. You're thankful for your glass of water. I'm so thankful and grateful for you. You're thankful for your ears that can, you can hear this podcast. You can hopefully look out the window and see the view. If you can't see the view, you might be able to hear something. You can hear something, you can feel something. There's always something there where there's love in it. There's love there for you. To be able to get up, we take it for granted that we can breathe, that the air is always provided for us, that we can wake up as a spiritual being in a human body, which blows my mind every time I think about it. If you consciously move in that energy and even put aside your manifestations for a while if they're stressing you out and just say, I have so much. I have so much. My hair grows out of my head. If it doesn't grow out of your head, you don't have to worry about your hair. There are many ways to look at what you have in life. And if you have somebody who smiles back at you, what a blessing. If you have a garden, fantastic. If you don't have a garden, there might be a park nearby. You look up, there's a beautiful blue sky. You might have food in your cupboard, no matter how small. If you consciously choose, even if you did it for a day, where you said to yourself, I'm not going to complain. No matter what happens, I'm going to imagine that it's for my good, that there's a blessing in it. Florence Scovel used to say, every person, every man, because it was the old times, but I changed it to person, every person is a golden link in the chain of my good. Whether someone annoys you, they're a golden link. Whether they're kind to you, they're a golden link. And you are a golden link for other people. I just think get out of the way, to be honest, as much as possible. Have fun with it. Draw a fun picture of what you want and forget about it. Make a poem about the man that is so crazy about you or woman. Um, Make a ditty about your body and say it as you clean your house. The more fun and lightness you can bring into it, the more feeling of joy that you can bring into it, the more that you're on that frequency then of the happy feeling you're going to have when you get it. That's what you were saying about being
Yeah.
on that frequency and creating that frequency. And that's where people say, but how do I do that if my son is annoying me and my husband's a pain and I'm bigger than I want to be and my car gives me trouble? Then you have to just park all of that and find one good thing about your husband and focus on that exclusively. One good thing about your son, focus on that exclusively. How often does your car work well for you? Focus on that exclusively. Even a day, I promise you, even a day of doing that deliberately and consciously, you are going to feel fantastic. You are going to feel fantastic by the end of the day. And the minute you slip into the old habit, the old habitual way of thinking, you'll go, doesn't feel so good.
I love that. That is so fantastic. I love that you highlighted this for us, Marlene. Interestingly, sorry, someone got in my head. Interestingly, like I was trying to manifest a new car for us because we tend to cars come to us to retire, so we're the kind of people that like we get secondhand cars or whatever and we drive until they're ready to go, right? And so
Yeah,
we're due for a new car, and I remember everyone asking you like, what kind of car do you want, and even this was beginning of the year where I ran this Unreal You manifesting group. And so I go like, okay, for the purpose of it, we can pick something. And someone asked me, okay, what about the car? And I'm like, I actually don't know what kind of car I want. I just want a 7-seater, and a car that will get me from A to B. I don't care about the color. I don't care about all the bits and
yeah,
bobs of it because I don't know. I don't care about the make or mark. And it's interesting because the car we got, again, secondhand, um, from a lovely family here locally, which I think is lovely because they get to see it being driven around. But I said to Ryan, I said, you know, this is exactly how it was meant to happen. This is exactly why I couldn't ever picture the car, the details, because I truly didn't care. And also, we have little kids. I don't want to have a brand new car that then I'm very precious about. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
don't come in with your sandy feet, or, let's put plastic in it, right? Whereas this way, I think, and it's a fantastic car. It gets us, it pulls like caravan. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly how it was meant to happen. This is why in my visualizations, I could see us in a car, and the interior looks very similar, but I go like, I didn't need to know the details of the car, nothing, just a 7-seater. So I love that what you said. This reminded me of this story.
Yeah.
Now I am being very conscious of your time, but I do want to ask you one last question, Marlene, about you had or have sessions where clients can come and sort of you help them, I guess, align them to these timelines. Now, I know from my experience doing my work that often, like, we're not magical pills, and when people come to us, there's still spirit goes, I've got homework for you. um how important would you say is this homework to do?
It's very important because like you said, there's no magic pill. And I think a lot of people will go to readers or coaches or whatever and expect to be put back together. Fix my life. That's what I call it. Fix my life, put me back together. And being honest, I have had clients in the past that come to me for an hour session with way too much expectation of what I can actually do with them in that hour. I have had clients when I tell them this is what Spirit has recommended to you or what Spirit has shown me that would be really helpful for you to do, and they don't want to do it. When I actually used to work at home, there was this guy who refused to leave my house because I said to him very honestly, unless you do your part, none of this is going to happen. And he wanted a different answer from me. I don't work in my house anymore, everything's online now. But what I would say is that if you're coming to somebody, be very honest with yourself. Are you coming to this person to expect some kind of like magic potion that they're going to say something to you and it's going to make everything better? If you're coming with that expectation, you will 100% be disappointed. Because any good coach, any good reader, it's going to be an exchange of energy. It's going to be a two-way thing. Anybody that tells you they can fix you, turn around and run away. Seriously, run away. Because even the best healers, all they're really doing is activating the healing potential within yourself. That's all they're doing. It's an exchange of energy where you are actually activated within yourself and you start to understand, I am really powerful. I can do this for myself. If any healer, reader, coach, whatever starts to make you dependent on them, please take your money and go. But say, for example, if somebody came to me and I was seeing that they were very disconnected from their body, say. So, say if I had somebody who was very much in the mind, tormenting themselves, going over past things, conversations, analyzing everything, and kind of alive only from the neck up, then usually what spirit will tell me to do is start to give them exercises that will connect them back with their senses, connect them back with their body. They might suggest use a massage oil, massage your legs, use beautiful aromatherapy oil to bring your senses into it. They might suggest that you go swimming in the sea. They might suggest that you go dancing, you go out in your garden, you go barefoot in your garden. They might have any kind of prescription that they feel would be the best for you. Now, if you take that on board and kind of go, yeah, yeah, and you don't do it, then you've wasted your own money, because what spirit is showing you is how to take back control for yourself, how to empower yourself.
And be an
If you're
active
constantly,
participant.
yeah, if you're constantly going to healers and readers because you want to be affirmed and empowered, that's part of it and that's good. But if you're not seeing progress, that's very wrong. That's very wrong. And somebody is not doing their work properly if they've created some kind of dependence. Do you understand what I'm saying, Kasia? So it's
Mm,
like spirit might say to you, okay, what often happens is, especially if I do mediumship readings and their loved ones come in and the loved ones will kind of be a bit more forthright with them and say, get out of the house, Mary. Get out and go out with your friend Joan when she's calling to the house and she wants to go for a walk. Get out and go for a walk with Joan. Now, I couldn't say that like to them, but spirit can often come in with a more the energy that they would have had when they were here. And the spirit that comes through is exactly the spirit that that person needs. And they might laugh or they might cry. They might go, oh, yeah, that sounds like her. All right. Okay. And I've had people like that where they get the message, you need to be going out, you need to book the holiday, you need to go to Disneyland, you need to leave your job and go after the one that you really want. But again, the power is always with the client, the person that's coming. You can take all that information and go out the door and go, they didn't know what they're talking about, or they didn't get that right, or they don't understand how hard this is for me to go out and make a load of excuses and stay nice and cozy with your excuse blanket. Or you can actually go, you know what now? That came through with a lot of love. I'm going to trust that I'll be supported in doing it, even if it feels scary. And you go and you do it. If you're very disconnected from your body, it's going to feel very emotional and very scary to start massaging your skin. It's going to feel very scary to come out of your mind and come down into your body. No one's saying it isn't. But the important thing is to know that if you do it, spirit will meet you halfway and you will always be held and supported. It will never be scarier or bigger than you can manage. Always, 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 you'll be supported. So if you go to someone and they say, what I'm getting for you or what I'm seeing for you, whatever, is that you need to take up running again, or you need to change your running shoes because those ones are too old. Take it on board. Take it on board. There's a reason you were guided to that reader, healer, whatever, and put it into practice. Trust that the healer, whatever, acted as a channel for something you needed to hear. And do it and trust that you'll be okay when you do it. You might cry every step of that run, but you'll feel better and you will get incrementally better. Like, I'd love to show people how it is in the spirit world, how it is with all of those who take care of us. They are like, do you know when you see marathon runners and you have these people at the end going, "Wow,
yes, that's how I always see them. Yes,
that,
with like the little
that is spirit."
trumpets and like
Yeah.
yes,
That is spirit because they know how hard it is
going
to
on.
be here. They know how hard it is to be in this dense body, in this dense place, but it's also really beautiful. It's really
Mm.
beautiful here. It's really beautiful to experience love with people. It's really beautiful to laugh. You know, it's beautiful sometimes even to cry, to be moved by music, to be stunned by a sunset. Oh my God, it's just gorgeous here.
I have to feel
You know,
another human's touch.
That's
right? And
it.
you
And
hug.
they just want us to be as fully in it as we can be, because it's over like that. Even if you
Mm.
get 100 years, that's so fast. Like I said earlier, I'm 50, and it is just gone in a freaking blink. It's like it's just so fast. So be in your life as fully as you can be. Trust that you're loved. Trust that everything is happening to widen you, expand you, to bring you closer to your true nature. And try your best to show up as fully as yourself as you can. If you have a snorty laugh, don't hide your snorty laugh. If you're the craziest dancer on the dance floor, be the craziest dancer on the dance floor. If you like to bake cookies every day and give them away, bake your cookies every day and give them away. If you like to wear clothes that don't match, wear your clothes that don't match. It's your unique expression in this world. If you're trying to dim your light or make your laugh less noisy, you rob us of something. You absolutely rob us of something. And the
Mm.
more people that are fully authentic, noisy, loud, quiet, shy, beguiling, stern, whatever it is that you are, be it as full on, fully present with yourself as you can be. That has more of a ripple effect than anything else that you could do.
On that note, that was beautiful. What a way to take us out. Thank you, Marlene, for being here. And I loved bathing in your energy once again. Thank you so much. Now, we will, of course, put all the things in the show notes. But if someone's listening now and they have their phone there and they want to go and find you, where can they find you? What can they do with you?
I'm on Instagram as the Spirit Seer, Facebook as Marlene Cronin, and you can find me on YouTube if you just type in Marlene Cronin Light Language, you'll find me there. My website link is in the bio in all three of those places, so it's very easy to find me if you want to work with me. But as you said earlier, I give a lot of stuff for free live readings on all three platforms, free healing. So you know, it's easy to access
Mm.
me if your funds aren't there right now to work with me in person.
Oh, and that YouTube channel of yours is phenomenal. I am just so grateful. Um, Before we go, I do want to just add one last thing because we were talking about we're not the magic pill, and we can't do the job for you. And I just wanted to say, yes, sometimes there are situations like the lady who you've helped overcome that irrational fear, let's say, of flying. And all she had to do is just trust you and go on that plane, right? With
Yeah.
me, when I had a session with you, it was all about light language activation. And yet, my knee that was sore that I didn't even tell you because I'm like, that's not why I'm coming. I'm coming for the light language. It like pushed through and the pain was gone. So things like this happen, right? But again, you're the facilitator, and it shouldn't be that shouldn't be the expectation that people are coming with, because we don't know what will happen in these sessions.
Yeah.
We work with spirit. We're just a medium. Like spirit literally
Yeah.
uses us as the flute to play the tune, right? So unlike in that those are Rumi's words. I am the instrument through which spirit plays its tune. But unlike, let's say, if you were teaching Instagram or you were teaching, I don't know, sport, something, you would have a plan. You would know what you're teaching. It would be very, pre-planned. But for us, we show up, we work with your energy. If your energy is closed off, if you're like, okay, let her do all the job and let her prove to me
Yeah.
that she can do it, may not happen. You may end up with a lot of homework, a little bit of homework, depending
Yeah.
on where your energy is at. But I wanted to point out there are miracle situations that do happen with
Yeah. Yeah.
Marlene, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
I had that happen. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to say that, but I would never come to you going like, well, I want to be a medium now, so put your little abracadabra on me and make me a medium, right? Or fix that knee. But I just wanted to add that because you are fantastic, phenomenal, and great things do happen. But yes,
Mhm.
we are here to be
They
active
do indeed.
participants. So
Thank you,
thank you
Kasia.
very much. Have a beautiful day, and all
You
my
too.
listeners, enjoy, and we will see you, or you will hear us next week.
Absolutely.
Bye.
God bless.